Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are going to talk about the top Bachelor and Bachelorette huge scandals and twists throughout history. So before we jump into this video, if you are new here, feel free to subscribe to continue to get quality content. Smash the like button if you enjoy this video, and drop a comment down below because I do engage with my subscribers. So before we talk about the first one, there was a lot of insane events throughout the history of this show. And we're going to take a look back at some of the most scandalous and unexpected moments from The Bachelor and Bachelorette. So let's start off with our first one right off the bat, and that is our one and only Chris Harrison. It was reported back in August of 2020 that he had been replaced as a host temporarily. For the first time in Bachelor and Bachelorette history, he would not be at the helm. Chris, according to reports, had left filming for season 16 of The Bachelorette just to drop his son off at college. And then, due to the pandemic, a mandatory 2-week quarantine kept him away from the set. And then, of course, JoJo Fletcher was the one to step in and take over. But that's not the only major thing that was going on. And of course, we saw what had happened with Claire at the last 4 episodes. So let's move on to what leads into that next. So speaking of season 16, Tayshia Adams had been casted suddenly as the leading lady, which for a while no one had saw that coming. And just a little background: at the beginning of 2020, the producers had announced, of course, that Claire was going to be the headline of season 16 of The Bachelorette, which of course made her the oldest female to start on the show. However, as we all know, Claire fell in love hard, quick, and fast with one of her guys at the early stage of filming, which we all know is Dale Moss. Now, having that her mind was already made up, she refused to continue the show, of course, because she didn't want to lead on the rest of the guys. So, of course, Claire's abrupt exit with her and Dale riding off into the sunset left the producers in need of a new leading lady, which, of course, brought on Tayshia. So, of course, we're going to see the rest of that coming up soon. So who could ever forget that surprising clash between Peter Weber's mom, Barb, and his second pick, Maddie, on the season 24 of The Bachelor? Nobody. Now, while Barb never shied away from voicing her opinions on who Peter should end it up with, she definitely preferred Hannah Ann over Maddie. And of course, things came to a head at the season finale. When she was confronted about her preference, Barb definitely didn't shy away from listing out all of the reasons that she liked Hannah Ann over Madison, noting that Maddie was one of the things that made her family wait 3 hours, debated about wanting to meet them, and told them she wasn't ready to accept a proposal from Peter. And Madison, of course, didn't stay quiet, defending herself on a live segment of the show during an unforgettable on-screen battle that we all saw to go down in Bachelor Nation history. But it was Barb in the end who definitely delivered the final blow. She told Chris that Peter would have to fail to succeed, noting that all his friends and family, everyone knows him, knowing that it's not going to work. And ultimately, she was right. Peter and Maddie soon went their separate ways, and he moved on with another season 24 contestant, Kelly Flanagan. So now we have Juan Pablo, who is one of the most hated Bachelor stars of all time. But why is that? Well, not only did he fail to propose to Nikki during the 18th season of the finale of The Bachelor, but he couldn't say 3 very important words, which was, "I love you." Even on the After the Rose special, some people that consider him a commitment phobe couldn't mutter the words. So unsurprisingly, their love didn't last, and they called it quits in October of 2014. And of course, we all know what happened with Claire. So now we have Jason, who stuck with his gut, and it paid off, even if it did cause major drama. As you guys remember, he proposed to Melissa on the 13th season finale of The Bachelor, and then Jason later revealed that he made a mistake. During the After the Rose final special, he told Melissa that he was actually in love with runner-up Molly, whom he married eventually in the year 2010. Jason and Molly, of course, welcome a daughter, Riley, in March of 2013, and of course, they are still happily married. So, obviously, he stuck to his gut, and eventually it did pay off. So now we have the one, the only Colton from season 23 of The Bachelor, which definitely brought the drama in 2019. There were plenty of catfights, talk of Colton's infamous virginity, and then, of course, the really shocking moment is when Cassie fantasy suite date, even when she was doubting her feelings for him, and of course she received a visit from her equally doubtful father, Cassie decided to head home on her own. And then, of course, what happened after that, as we all remember, was a tearful meltdown like we've ever seen in Bachelor Nation history. And it extended from everything from Colton's crying, jumping the fence. It led the producers on a chase through the Portuguese countryside. It was extremely intense. And the fans thought they were going to get a break from the drama, but it was not going to happen. Colton sent the other two girls home. There was plenty of tears shared there as well. And then, of course, there was no engagement. And then, of course, Cassie agreed to have one simple date. He was able to convince her to wear the ring. However, it was unsuccessful. They split in the middle of 2020. So who remembers Bachelor season 14 when contestant Roslyn, even though she didn't hit it off with Jake, however, she did find some romance on the show. Roslyn eventually got kicked off as it was claimed that she was getting cozy with one of the producers of the show, and of course they let go. Of course, I'm not sure of what happened with them, but that's what happened with her. So then, who remembered Kaitlyn's Bachelorette season and all of the controversy it had? The producers definitely faced, oh my God, a lot of backlash when they kind of put Kaitlyn and Britt against each other, and then asked the male contestants to vote for which woman they wanted to keep around. I mean, there were a lot of critics that said that the move was kind of sexist, bizarre, considering it had never been done on the show. And it was reported that the then Nick Viall from Andy's season joined the show late in the competition, and it was revealed that he and Kaitlyn already had some form of relationship that kicked off on Twitter before her season even started. So that there definitely was a scandal for her season. So ultimately, Kaitlyn, chose Sean during the 11th season of The Bachelorette, but her pick wasn't free from scandal either. Kaitlyn accidentally posted a picture of herself and Sean on Snapchat early in the season, so many of the fans knew exactly who won the show before the finale. That was a huge spoiler alert. So we all remember Miss Becca, previous contestant, and of course, Bachelorette star. She definitely caused quite a stir and some noise when her ex-boyfriend came to visit, wanting her back. Becca, of course, rejected him and kept her sights on who she focused on, which was the Bachelor star Ari. But things didn't quite turn out how she planned. And of course, as we're going to see next, what was truly one of the most salacious events in Bachelor history was, of course, the breakup of both Ari and Becca. So speaking of Ari, during the 22nd season of The Bachelor, he proposed to Becca and everything seemed to be going just fine until it wasn't. Of course, a few months later, Ari ended up confessing to Becca that he was still in love with Lauren, who was the runner-up, and dumped Becca while the cameras were still rolling. And it all aired during the season finale. He then proposed to Lauren during the live Bachelor after the final rose special, and consequently became the most hated Bachelor thus far at that point. And even some of Ari's former girlfriends and his former best friend publicly called him out for being untrustworthy and a commitment phobe. However, on their defense, both Ari and Lauren are doing extremely well at this point. And I think they even have a new baby now. So I guess it worked out in the end. And then, of course, Becca ended up with Garrett. They dated for 2 years. And, of course, their relationship ended this year in September. Now we have Brad, who during the 11th season finale of The Bachelor shocked viewers by not proposing to either Diana or Jenny. The ladies were sent home without a ring, but that didn't stop Brad without finding love. He did return for season 15, where he asked Emily for her hand in marriage, but they broke up, made up, and finally moved on in 2011. So who remember Casey? This guy was so desperate to win over Allie that he got a heart tattooed on his wrist as a sign of his devotion to her. Needless to say, Casey was booted off the season 6 of The Bachelorette shortly after that. I guess at that point, that looked a little creepy with the whole tattoo. So what was the reason that Bachelorette season 8 star Emily and Jeff, what caused them to end their engagement back in 2012? Well, Jeff allegedly caught Emily exchanging racy text messages with NFL Matt Leinart. So that's what ended their situation. So I don't know if you guys remember on season 7 of The Bachelorette, Bentley broke Ashley's heart. Though Ashley, had interest in Bentley and was definitely excited after meeting him, Bentley had set his sights on somebody else, Emily. And he admitted that he thought he was there to compete for Emily and not Ashley's. You're talking about mistaken identity when it comes to romance and love. Yikes. So, what about Courtney, who joined the cast of season 16 of The Bachelor? Was she there for the right reasons? Many folks didn't think so. Not only was she not liked by other cast members, she was also referred to a gold digger and a social climber. But somehow she did run over Ben, and he proposed to her during the finale. Though, Courtney moved in with Ben, the pair called it quits in 2012, and she went on to pen a tell-all title, I Didn't Come Here to Make Friends, a confession of a reality show villain. Yeah, so guys, let me know if you actually read that book and what your thoughts were. So comment down below. So Brooks didn't even give Desiree a chance to send him home. He left on his own during the semifinals of season 9 of The Bachelorette after revealing that he just wasn't that into her. And it all worked out in the end, though, because, of course, Desiree married last man standing Chris in January of 2015, and they currently have a son that they had in 2016. So it all worked out in her favor. So Jake and Vienna had a very odd and contentious relationship after season 14 of The Bachelor. And guys, who can forget that awkward sit-down conversation with Chris where they railed on each other in front of a live audience? But the real scandal involved questions around, surrounding Jake's true intentions. Vienna thought she was a pilot. She had also told Star Magazine he refused to get intimate with her and how he really wants to be an actor and that was not supposed to be their life. And then, of course, they just threw it back and forth to each other. Jake accused Vienna of cheating on him with some actor, and of course, they broke up in 2010. It was a mess. So then we have this handsome cowboy who was nothing more than a big fat liar. Season 5 of The Bachelorette, Wes made it all the way up to Jillian's top 4 before it was revealed that he got a whole nother girlfriend back home. He also acted shady when he grabbed his guitar and serenaded her in an attempt to prove he was on the show for the right reasons. But everybody else that saw him was saying that he was just really trying to promote his music career to see if that could take off from doing that on this show. So then we have Ben, who definitely kind of caused a stir when he told both of his two final ladies, Lauren and JoJo, that he was in love with both of them during the 20th season of The Bachelor. This was the first time that this ever happened because typically bachelors don't say I love you until the proposal. And that definitely made for a super awkward finale when he dumped JoJo. So yeah, that was crazy. So JoJo actually got her happy ever after on the 12th season of The Bachelorette when she picked football player turned commentator Jordan as the winner. Now, the couple are still currently engaged to this day, but their storyline was a little bit awkward. Jordan didn't acknowledge his super famous brother that plays for the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers. And of course, Aaron never appeared on the show, even though the other family members did. And of course, that fueled a bunch of reports if there was actually some issues going on with the family ties in the household relationship. So, of course, Nick definitely made this countdown as well. I mean, the veteran was supposed to be the star of the 21st season of The Bachelor after appearing in 2 seasons of The Bachelorette, including one where it was revealed that he and Andy slept together, and then 1 season of Bachelor in Paradise, leading many to speculate what his intentions were. Was it more about finding fame or finding that true love? Many of the fans felt that he did very little to redeem himself on Bachelor Nation as a villain, and an opinion that only strengthened that he and the Bachelor winner Vanessa broke off their engagement back in 2017. So, yeah, he has a lot of history back there. So we now have our girl Rachel, who had everybody shaking their heads in disappointment when she sent Peter home and chose her current fiance Brian during the 13th season of The Bachelorette. Now, many of the fans said that she had more of a close connection with Peter and was deeply in love with him, but she sent him home because she wasn't willing to propose quite yet, settling for Brian. But I actually don't think she's settled. I mean, Brian and Rachel are extremely happy. They have since been married. So actually, she chose the person that she ultimately should have been with. And then also speaking of Rachel, who was the first ever black lead, which was an awesome thing for diversity, it was kind of rocked by this guy, Lee Garrett. And he was called out for certain tweets, racial tweets, misogynistic tweets that he had on Twitter. And he was also undermining and insulting through comments to the black man in the house before actually being booted off the show. So guys, that is our top huge twist and scandal throughout Bachelor and Bachelorette history. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to continue to receive content such as this, Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you'll be notified every time a video is posted. Like, also comment down below, and we'll see you next time.